time to talk about luxury cruising. From suites so sweet to ships elite. Come explore the world in style with me on Luxury Cruising, the podcast.
Hey, it's Krystal here. Before we get started, did you know that there is a way for you to directly support the podcast? Head over to my website, luxurycruising.net, and you can buy me a latte, a glass of champagne, or even a whole bottle of champagne if you want. Leave me a note, and I'll be sure to give you a shout out on the next episode. That's luxurycruising.net. You can also leave me a note or ask a question. Okay, let's get on with the show. Welcome back to Luxury Cruising. I'm your host, Krystal Soditis, and I'm really excited. Jennifer is here with us today, and she is a relatively new cruiser, not brand new, but jumped into luxury with 2 feet, taking her 2 teenage boys on the Norwegian Viva in the Haven in a 2-bedroom suite. Can't wait to hear all the details. Jennifer, please tell the audience anything you would like them to know about you.
Hi there, I'm Jennifer. I'm a radiologist. I'm able to work from home. It's fantastic. I've got my 2 teenage boys. They were 14 and 16 when we went on this trip over the summer. Just a busy working mom, and we are enjoying our travel experiences. And very thankful for our travel agent who gets us set up for these, because I otherwise would not have had this great experience with luxury cruising.
That's amazing. Well, that's a great segue to my usual first question, which is, how did you decide to take this trip?
Our travel agent, Sylvia Hanna, was the one who suggested it. I explained kind of the nuances with my kids and what would make it easier for us to travel. She said, you got to try Haven. And so we did. It was a leap of faith, and it turned out great. The trip was fantastic. But the service for Haven is really what made it incredible.
Awesome.
From check-in to check-out. It was great.
That's amazing. We'll hear all the details. Check-in to check-out. And Sylvia actually has been on the podcast before. I will link her podcast episode about MSC's Yacht Club in the show notes. But yeah, having a great travel agent, I've said it before, can really make a difference in terms of, planning the cruise. Just to segue a little bit into travel agents, what was it, do you think, that helped Sylvia to understand what it was you were looking for that led her to basically pick almost a perfect cruise for you?
Sylvia's been working with my family for about 3 years now. So she has started to learn some of the quirks with my kids, my family, what the kids like. And it helps that she's a mom as well. So she understands what it's like traveling with kids. And so as we've done different trips and I've told her what was a real hit with the kids, she has been able to help kind of put together what our next trip should be. And so we have been to Iceland, we've been to Costa Rica. So this was our first luxury cruise, and she nailed it. She helped me to pick out exactly what would help to make both kids happy. It was great. She just knew. It was fantastic.
That's awesome. Was there anything in particular that she said that you can remember?
I remember she said that we will absolutely love this experience, that they take care of everything. And she was right. They did. They took care of everything. They made things so much easier. And she also warned me. She says, once you go to Haven level, it's hard to go back. And and she's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Does the Haven do anything like before the cruise? Does anybody contact you? Is there any pre-cruise prep?
Yes, there was some emails that they contacted ahead of time, introducing themselves, the concierge service, offering their services if we wanted assistance with booking any excursions, or if we had any allergies, any dining reservations. They made it known that they were available before the cruise, and then as well 24/7 once we checked in the day of embarkation.
Yeah. So tell us, what was the embarkation like?
It was fantastic. We arrived at the port and there were signs for Haven. And so the kids and I just followed those signs, and we were swiftly taken from the sidewalk to this little tent area where there was chairs and water and snacks. And we were able to sit down, and the staff would come to us and they checked us in. They checked our passports. They gave us our little cards.
Like
they
CPAS
had
card
it ready
or fun
for
card or something like
CPAS.
that.
Yes. They handed them to us right then and there.
So you didn't have to go to your room, because like usually it's sort of like sitting in the room number before you get into your room. So they just handed you your CPAS.
They handed me the cards for the children and myself right then and there. While my kids were able to sit down and have, a drink of water and get some snacks. So we weren't in a crowd of people. They were very attentive. Like I said, we were swiftly taken from the sidewalk right back to this area. They were with us immediately. They were handing us paperwork as far that we could hand to our butler to check off if we didn't already book entertainment, that we could pick time slots and that we could turn in when we got to our room. We were given our room number while we were still in that little waiting area. And we were not in that waiting area very long at all. They were taking us on board very quickly. It was amazing. It was
That's amazing. And I mean, the two things that stood out. First, for people who either aren't cruisers, may not realize, like, to get your CPAS card before you go to the room. First, for most rooms, the rooms aren't available as soon as you get on. For contemporary and premium lines, you have to wait. And then if you want to get something, if you want to go to the bar or something, they either have to write your room number down, or you have to try and like load the virtual version of your CPAS card. It's kind of book. I mean, it's not a big deal, but just to be able to like hand them your CPAS card, because like, hey, I want my first, margarita, soda, whatever it is, just be able to hand it over. That's a small but also huge thing. I love that.
This was only my second cruise. And so I remember from my first cruise that our CPASs were waiting for us at the rooms. And we had several hours from when we boarded the ship until we were able to get to our rooms. So right away, I thought, wow, this is incredible. And when we got on board, we were able to go straight to our room. Now, our room steward was finishing up our room, which was fine. It was great to meet him. He was lovely. We just wanted to drop our stuff. One of the bedrooms in the suite was already done. So we just put all of our things in there and we were able to start right away. It was incredible that we didn't have to wait, and our luggage was brought to our room. Honestly, it was the princess treatment. It was so nice.
That is really, really nice. That is really nice.
Yeah.
The other thing you said that I really appreciated was that they gave you a piece of paper with the entertainment and that you could check off. Like sometimes it's hard to know, like, what do I want to see? Do you have to like go through the app day by day, but to sort of have a nice grid and then just to be able to check off what you want and have somebody else take care of it. I think that's a really nice touch.
I was shocked. I didn't know if this was normal or not to be given a paper like that they just made it so easy. I was very happy with that as well.
That's beautiful. Before we get to your room, like just walking through the ship, what did you think about the ship overall? And then specifically the Haven area?
So when we were coming onto the ship, they had an elevator that was set aside just for Haven.
Very nice. Yeah.
So again, as soon as we got onto the ship, they were getting us right onto the elevator and taking us to our floor. We weren't having to wait with the craziness of everyone else trying to get to an elevator to get to their floor. It made just for such a smooth transition onto the boat. Honestly, just such a stress-free experience. It was so nice. And having that Haven elevator, I mean, that really came in handy. We didn't always use it, but when the elevators were looking pretty full, we would go over to the Haven elevator because we didn't really have to wait.
Nice. Yes, I wouldn't even think about that. Like, and did it only go to your floor, or could you go anywhere in the ship, but it was just for people in the haven?
It went to almost every floor, and it was only for Haven. Our CPass cards were used for it, so not everyone could use the elevator.
Very nice. Very, very
It
nice.
was
Yeah.
a really nice perk, yeah.
How did the decor, if at all, of the haven differ from the decor of the rest of the ship?
In the actual Haven areas, it did look a little more fancy, but it fit in with the decor of the rest of the ship. But you could tell it was a little nicer.
Like just a few degrees upscale, like nothing
Yeah,
completely different, but just that little bit that you could
yeah,
tell we're at a
you could
different level.
tell. Overall, the decor of the ship was lovely. The ship was well maintained. It's a newer ship, and it felt like it. It was fantastic. Not quite the party boat like some of the Royal Caribbean,
Like
but
Utopia.
that was the one I resigned for my first
Yeah.
one. So, yeah, that was a bit of a change for me, is realizing, okay, we're not on Utopia, we're on Viva here. But it was just gorgeous. I really enjoyed the vibe on the boat. The staff was so much fun. They all were in good spirits. A little bit of navigating the boat I thought was not quite as easy as on Utopia. That
Yeah.
took a little bit of getting used to. But overall, it was super easy to navigate on the boat, and having the little perks of the haven really came in handy, helping to avoid any of the congestion at certain times. So it really was nice to help just decrease a little bit of that stress there when you're traveling.
That's really beautiful. Amazing, amazing. So tell us about the room. What was your room like? The two bedroom?
So in the room, uh, on the wall hall, you have to put a key card in so the lights will work. They keep one in there for you. It really helps when you're trying to find a card to put in there. So when you came in, looking straight ahead was the balcony. And we had a really large balcony because of the size of our room. So there were two seating areas out there. So just from walking in the room, you can see out to the balcony, to the ocean, and to the seating areas, which is just so welcoming. And then when you come in, one bedroom was to the left, one was to the right, and the seating kind of living room area was straight ahead. There was a bathroom off of each bedroom, which was great. And because the living room area was so big, the sofa pulled out to a bed. So my kids were able to alternate who got the bedroom and who was on the pull-out sofa. So everybody had their own space. It felt like a 3-bedroom area.
Yeah.
Which is great. And so the master bedroom, or the larger bedroom, it was larger than the other bedroom. The bathroom was a little nicer. So of course that was my, but it was a king size bed. The TV faced right into the bed. And then there was a walk-in closet there. The bathroom was well stocked, and it was very clean. The fixture, it's a newer boat, so everything just felt new. And the slider door to go out to the balcony was right there. I could lay in bed and see the ocean, which was
That's
incredible.
beautiful, right? It's
Yeah.
so nice.
It was. It really was. And it was nice that the kids had their own bathroom, so I didn't have to share with them for vacation, which, I mean, anybody with teenage boys knows that is really nice.
Yes, yes. Having a separate bathroom from your teenagers is definitely luxury.
Yes. The room steward would come in and every evening would open up the sofa bed and make the bed up for whichever one of my children was going to be there. And then in the morning would take it down and put the living room back together and help to kind of organize things. He was incredible. Well, cannot complain at all about the service. Our room steward was absolutely on top of everything. They brought us snacks into the room most every day, which was
Wow.
a surprising treat.
And with
Not
teenage
everything-
boys that are eating all the time, I'm sure they were welcome.
Well, that was funny because they weren't necessarily teenage friendly. It's okay. Appreciated the effort. And every day the room steward would leave on the one table the next day's notices or itineraries or anything like that. And so
Yeah.
we knew exactly like when the tender was coming and that, if you wanted to get off as a Haven guest, what time and where you needed to report.
Yeah.
And so we had priority to get off the boat for the tender. And so they made it very easy to know where we were supposed to be and how to access those Haven perks, which
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
just fantastic.
Beautiful.
And also inside the room, there were a couple buttons right by the front door. So you could turn on your light. And the steward did show us that when we first got there so that we could indicate to him when we would like for our room to be cleaned.
Oh, like outside. I was thinking you could turn the lights on like
Yes.
it connected. No, so
we
you
would
could
hit a
turn light
button
on. Oh,
and so there would be a light on outside of the room. So as he was walking by his rooms, he could see who had the light on. And so he would try to get those rooms turned over as quickly as he could each day and without
wow.
disturbing you. Yes.
That's
That
really nice. So
was,
were there like a group
yeah.
of suites all there? Oh, because you're in the Haven. So
Yeah.
most people are like in suites and in higher end rooms. So yeah.
So our entire hallway, you had to use your C card to access to even get into our hallway. Unless you were Haven, you could not get into our hallway.
Yeah.
And so Haven was on several floors and you could access any of those floors with your Haven card. And then the Haven elevator was contained within that hallway as well. So you could go out of the Haven area to the main entrance to the regular elevators, or you could stay within the Haven hallway there and you could find the elevator to take up to and down to different floors.
I love that. I love that.
And so for that Haven elevator, you could access the rest of the Haven area. And that was a few floors away from us, which again was fine because our elevator took us right there. And that is where the 24-hour concierge service staff was. During the day, they had 3 concierges working. That's also where the restaurant was. They had an indoor bar, and then they also had the outdoor area. So there was an outdoor bar. There was a small pool. I think there was a hot tub area. And then there was also just sun chairs where you could just sit out and enjoy the sun. And it was such a nice area. It wasn't crowded. Anything you needed, they were right there to help you. You could eat all your meals there at the restaurant. It was a sit-down place. I mean, fancy, everything, linen napkins. The waiter or waitress would come see you. They brought you the menu. It really was a whole different level. It wasn't like going to the Windjammer where you're in the cafeteria. You did not want to eat your meals in there, and that was fine because you had your choice. You could go eat at any of the places that were complimentary. You could go to the specialty dining, or you could go inside Haven. So it was great to have those choices. And, my one son, he's a pretty picky guy. If there was something on the menu and he just wasn't finding anything, they would make him what he wanted.
Right. Isn't that amazing?
It just was not a problem.
That. Yep. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Let me ask you one quick question back to the suite for a second. The second bedroom, was that more like an inside room? Did that have a window or access to the balcony? What was that
inside
second bedroom
room
like?
There was no window, no access to the balcony, which for my teenage kids, I thought that was great. They were fine with that. There was a big TV in there. They had their own space. So they were loving life. And then whoever was on the pull-out sofa, and of course, there was the slider door that looked out or they could go out onto the balcony. But for the kids, it worked out great because they didn't mind having an inside room. For me, it worked out even better because I enjoyed having the view.
Exactly.
So, lots of space. Everybody could spread out. Nobody was on top of each other. It made things so much nicer for traveling.
Yeah. Did any other amenities come with the room?
So we have a butler service.
Butler. Yeah. Did the butler do anything special for you?
So this was my mistake. We did not utilize the butler enough. The butler came and introduced himself and he said, call him for everything. And I didn't know what that meant. So the one night the kids were ordering room service, which is included, and we were struggling to get that pizza. And I called the butler's phone number and he said, you should have called me from the beginning. You call me when you want room service and I take care of everything. And he did. He took care of it. He took care of getting it and got it straight away to us.
Nice.
Yeah. And so from then on, we would just call the butler phone number. If there was anything we needed or any questions we had, it would either be concierge and the butler, and they seriously would take care of everything. There was the
Very
laundry
nice.
service.
The laundry
I felt-
service. I love people don't get how amazing the laundry service.
Oh, yeah. Midway through the trip, there's a special on laundry service, and they put it out on the master bed there.
Yeah.
That there's a form, and when they're going to collect, I didn't fill out the form quite right. The butler came back to me to let me know I didn't fill it out quite right, and to help me get that done. And they still collected the laundry, and it came back the next day, absolutely clean, folded,
Clean and
beautifully
folded
pressed. Well, I mean, because we were gone, it was a week-long cruise. Plus, we arrived in Athens a couple days early, so you kind of need to run a little bit of laundry there to get through to get back.
Yes. Before we get to the stops in the itinerary, I wanted to ask you, because you had mentioned eating in the Haven, but also being able to eat in any of the restaurants.
Yeah.
Did you eat any specialty restaurants? And I'm just interested in the comparison if you ate at any specialty restaurants to the Haven. Obviously, it's going to be elevated above like the main dining room and where the buffet is, but compared to like specialty restaurants.
Yeah. So what came with our package was 2 of us got specialty dining for 2 restaurants while we were for 2 meals. If that meant we still had to pay for the fare, whatever. So we did go to 2 specialty restaurants. There was the Italian restaurant, which was incredible. The amount of food was overwhelming. Even for my oldest, he could eat. Even he couldn't eat everything there, which was very impressive. I just couldn't believe it. Like you picked it, like you got like this pizza and they brought you pasta. And I mean, it was just so much food. The atmosphere was fantastic. The service was great. The food was incredible. Just so much food. So that one we loved. We also had gone to the hibachi restaurant, which we did not love. We didn't even get a chance to try the food. One thing they don't warn you about is how loud it is in that restaurant. And if any of the children have sensitivity to
if they're sensitive to noise,
yes, there is no warning about that. And it is incredibly, like, you cannot hear the person next to you because it is so loud in there.
Yeah.
So we did not end up staying for that one. Most of the folks that were in there, they are having themselves a great time. So a lot of people really enjoyed that, but it was not for everybody.
Right. I'm one of those people. I do not enjoy hibachi for a lot of reasons. And there are some sushi restaurants that I don't enjoy because the hibachi area is not separate from the sushi restaurant. Okay. And so you're basically just in the middle. You're not in the show, but yet you are sort of like hearing like banging and the cheering and the singing. And I'm one of those people that I really don't enjoy. I don't enjoy hibachi the way it's done on a cruise ship.
We've been to many hibachi restaurants before. This was next level for Noi.
Yeah.
So this was very unexpected for us. And it was definitely a no-go for my family. We had to leave. And they did send us over to the Italian restaurant, which worked out, and it was absolutely fine.
Being a Haven guest helped to expedite a transfer to a different restaurant.
I'm sure. But it was really loud. That was the one issue we did have on the boat was our experience at the hibachi restaurant. But those were the only 2 specialty restaurants we went to. We did kind of swing through some of the other ones, just, like during lunch or snack time, just to check things out. My older teenage son, he sampled, I think, every place on the boat and gave his feedback. As he would be finding food all day and all night long. Which worked out great because, he had his C card and I had explained to him where he could go and what would open when. And he was happy as a clam with that. And again, we were just trying to find things that each kid would enjoy to try to make their trips enjoyable as well as take the stress off.
I mean, that's one of the things I love most about cruising, especially when you have kids that are old enough to be somewhat independent.
Yeah.
You give them some rules for safety and some general guidelines, and you can let them go. I mean, even on our last cruise, our youngest was able to sign herself out of the kids club. But the rules, this was on Royal Caribbean Quantum of the Seas and Adventure Ocean. When we were in port, she could neither sign herself in nor out. And neither could my teenager. Could my teenager? She's 17. Maybe my teenager could, but my teenager could sign her in, but she couldn't sign her out. I can't remember. Okay. Somebody might have to fact check me on that one. But just the fact that we were in port, she couldn't be independent for Adventure Ocean. So, I mean, they're pretty strict on some of those things just to keep the kids as safe as possible.
Sure. The teen club was full a lot of nights. The week we were on the Viva, when I was registering the kids there on the first thing when we got there, they said that there were over 400 children on the boat that week.
Yeah.
Which is a ton. So some nights my kids would go over to the teen club and they were turned away because it was full and they'd have to come back later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they not? That is really interesting that they would hang out in the teen club. Because usually, like for my teen, she might use it as a meetup place, but then they're gone. Yeah. Like they're doing stuff together. They're going to karaoke together. They're going to the shows without us. Sometimes there are teen activities. Did the Viva have like this is the teen karaoke time, or this is their, I don't know what other activities they had.
Every night they would have things starting at about like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and they would run until, I remember if it was like 11 or midnight. I think one night it even went later. I believe curfew on the boat was 1 a.m., if I remember correctly, for the teenagers.
Right.
Yeah. And so I would just remind my kids when curfew ends and I expect them back on time and don't be disturbing anyone else in the boat.
Exactly.
So fortunately, there was no issues from me or my children as far as any of that went. I didn't see any problems on the boat with the teenagers. I'd see the kids kind of roaming around together as groups, but I didn't witness any behavioral issues. It just looked like all the kids were having a good time.
That's good. Yeah, it's very rare. I have seen issues, but it's rare. And security, I know because I'm not up at 1 a.m., but my teenager has said, like, security, if you're causing a ruckus, they'll come and talk to them and talk to the kids. So it's good to know.
And in the Haven area, it was so quiet. There was no kids roaming up and down the hallways. There was none of that going on.
Yes. Which is nice, right? Because compared to like an inside, like if you're going to be on a low level on an inside stateroom, the least, like that is where the Sweet 16 cruise is going to happen, right? That's where the high school graduation cruise with the class of 25 kids, like they're not going to be in the Haven. They're going to be in 6 side-by-side, inside staterooms. And they're going to get rowdy. They're going to get loud.
Yes. We had a great experience in the Haven, great service, and just the ease of navigating things and having priority for the tender. That was
tell us where you went. And other than priority tendering, was there anything specific about whether the excursions or anything that happened on land, either through Norwegian or through yourself, that you did to just sort of up-level the experience?
Sylvia, she is the one who helped us pick excursions, which was incredible. So she was helping us to guide as far as which ones would be a really good experience. And so I trusted her, again, leap in faith, and just said, okay, let's do it. And so for each of the ports, we worked through what we wanted to do.
Where'd you go?
Various tours. Let's see here. We were at Santorini, and that, of course, was a tender port. And usually, you're always warned that, there's going to be a line. There was no line for me. They got the Haven folks all up together, and they were getting us all bunched up into, who would be on the boat, and they're getting us moved along as quickly as they could. So it's not a big deal. We were on land very quickly for that, which made a huge difference because we went in July and it gets hot. So you want to be first off the boat to get there in the morning to enjoy your time and
before the massive crowds of people start coming off.
because you want to get on that cable car to get going
Yep.
before that line really could get there. And so since we had priority to get off the boat, we were not waiting in line for the cable car. We were able to pay and just make our way over. And we were starting our day before most people even got off the cruise ship. And
That's
that
awesome.
made
Yes.
things so nice. So we were able to do a van tour while we were there. We got some great pictures, did some shopping, and we were all set. And my kids were done before most people would be done, but we were getting back on the cable car while there was still no line. And whereas other people, they were waiting in line for 1 to 3 hours. And as soon as we got back down to the tender area, again, they had a haven area, a sign, and you just walked over and they saw your card and you were ushered right up to the front and they got you back on the ship as quickly as they could.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Any place else that you stopped that you feel like being in the haven really made a difference?
We had an unexpected tender at a second port. We were only supposed to tender at one port, but it was chain. I believe that was at Mykonos. There were too many cruise ships there at the same time. I believe there were 4 big boats there at the same time. And so we unexpectedly became a tender at that port. So it worked out great because, again, we had priority to get off the boat. We were able to catch our Jeep tour with no problem because we were off. We were on the island very quickly and we enjoyed our Jeep tour. And it's gorgeous there. It's so gorgeous. Every island was so different. And that island has the wind. So that made things so much nicer that day as far as keeping calm.
Yeah.
And so when our Jeep tour was over, it was so easy when we got back to the tender area. There was the haven sign and they got us right back on the boat as quick as they could.
Amazing. Amazing. What about in terms of, and I'm not sure what Viva has, a lot of these new ships have, whether it's a roller coaster or a racing track. Does Viva have any of those sort of bells and whistles? And did being a haven guest give you shorter line, a priority time, or a time to be able to enjoy those activities for you or your boys?
So Viva has a multi-story go-kart racetrack. And my kids were on that. Now the hours for the racetrack were, that was something my kids did complain about. Because they weren't open all the time. That staff was used when we were in port, which was a good chunk of our trip. So it limited the hours that it was available. But especially my younger one, he spent a good amount of time on there. I'm not aware of any priority for haven guests for using that. I think he just had to sign up like any of the other guests who were there.
Yeah. Okay.
There was
good to know.
an arcade, which honestly, a good chunk of it wasn't open while we were there. So I don't know if they were working on it or what was going on with that. But there was some fun things there to do for the kids. But the go-kart, I think, is their kind of signature thing there.
Yeah. That thing looks amazing. Looks absolutely amazing.
It did look neat. I didn't get on it, though.
Fantastic. That would be nerve-wracking, right? Like being afraid to launch off the side of the boat. Because go-karts go fast. I mean, I've been on go-karts on flat land and they can go fast.
Yeah.
So it's not like the little bumper cars.
That is not bumper car.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else about Norwegian Viva or the Haven or the trip overall that we haven't covered that you would like people to know about?
We had activities going on all the time, just like any cruise. You've got a check going on. I did not go to some of the evening shows.
It's hard. I got a Greece cruise. There's so many itineraries, so many ports. It's hard and it's hot in July. It can be hard
and we would be tired. And so generally after dinner, I just wanted to go back to the room to rest. And I was already thinking, we got to be up early the next day because we were in port every day. Yeah. One port we did stay overnight in Istanbul.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, that's very nice.
So that was nice. But there wasn't a whole lot of necessarily downtime where you're just cruising a sailing day to spend more time just enjoying. It really was focused more on your ports and going on your excursion.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I did not book any through Norwegian. I booked all through Sylvia, the travel agent. So,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
worked
And
out
they
great for
always-
me.
Yes. Well, and that's another, advantage of using a travel agent is if you want to do a private tour, these are people that she has probably vetted, she's worked with before, so
Yeah.
trustworthy to get you back to the ship on time.
Exactly.
And so
Yeah.
that's really important.
Getting off the boat, Haven made it just as easy as getting on the boat. It was very organized. They assisted with everything. You knew exactly what was going on. There was no problem. So I was very, very glad for that.
Oh, you're sorry. The dreaded debarkation was smooth and easy, and they helped you.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
Not the chaos that ends at some other ship.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it can really be just ugly. It's just another Disneyland line to get off the ship, and it's not fun. It's not like you're in the line to do something fun. Yeah.
Yeah. You brought your luggage up into the Haven area. You could have your breakfast, and they were assisting with you with getting off the ship.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That is a really nice, quiet way of ending your trip. So I think that's great. I think that's absolutely beautiful. Did they bring your luggage up and you had to like carry it off, or was there a spot once you got off where all the Haven luggage was easy to find?
Your choice. Just like with any other ship, that you could either do it yourself or they would take it off for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So stepping away from this particular cruise, I want to ask you a couple questions that I ask everybody.
Okay.
The first is, how do you define luxury?
I guess I think of luxury as I see something or I touch it and I think, wow, this is really nice. Something that really kind of makes you feel better. Something that kind of takes the stress away.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I think of when I think luxury.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Do you have a dream cruise now that you've been on two? Are there any cruises that you have your eye on that you think, wow, that would be really nice to do?
I've been looking at the Antarctica cruise to go see the penguin.
Yes.
I don't know when that'll happen, but that one looks pretty neat.
Yes. Yes. I've had a couple of those on the podcast, a couple of people who have been to Antarctica, and it just sounds like otherworldly. So that is definitely on my list as well. Small ship. You don't want to go on Norwegian on that one. You need a small ship.
Yes, definitely.
For Antarctica. Yeah. But I'm sure Sylvia will help you out and be able to.
I'm sure she will.
Pick the right trip.
Maybe she'll go with me.
I might.
Great. We can make a group trip.
Yes. Any luxury cruises or luxury trips in store for you on the horizon?
We are booked for an Alaskan cruise this summer. Yeah, we're going in July. So looking forward to that. And we just got back from Costa Rica, where we did it up there. We stayed at some very nice resort that Sylvia told me we'd enjoy, and sure enough, we sure did.
Yes. Yes.
I enjoyed the planning of the trip just as much as the trip, I think. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Well, Jennifer, thank you again so much for being here and for telling us about the Haven to Greece and Turkey. And to all the listeners, thank you also for joining me this week. And until next time, I wish you safe and luxurious cruising.
Hey, before you go, if you're enjoying this content, I would so appreciate a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this podcast. If you'd like to be on the show, there's a link to a form in the show notes, or you can email me at luxurycruisingpodcast@gmail.com. That's luxurycruisingpodcast@gmail.com. I hope to hear from you soon.